So we've talked about the formula for the slope. We talked about point slope form. Now we're going to talk about slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is this one, y equals mx plus b, where m represents the slope and b represents the what we call the y-intercept. Now a y-intercept's where it crosses the y-axis. We talked about intercepts before. So the coordinates for that y-intercept are 0, b. You're letting x be 0, and then y turns out to be b, if you think about putting in a 0 for x. So this is a very handy form. And in the last two problems it said solve for y. That's what we were getting. We were getting the slope-intercept form. Okay, all linear functions can be written in slope-intercept form. So we had the linear function notation f of x equals mx plus b. We had that earlier in another section. One of the things, though, that's nice about the slope-intercept form is that it makes it easy to graph. So when you look at this form right here, we have this function, f of x equals mx plus b. It's pretty easy to see what m is. That's going to be the negative 3 over 2. And it's easy to see what the b is. Okay. So if somebody said, hey, here's this function right here, what's the y-intercept? You would say the y-intercept is 2. Or you might list it as a 0.02, and that's fine. Okay, when we graph using the slope and the intercept, you're going to graph the intercept first. So I'm going to go to 2 on the y-axis. It's the y-intercept, that point there, 0, 2. And I'm going to put a point right there because that's one of my points. Then I'm going to use the slope to get more points. The slope, I talked about this, but it's rise. We say it's rise over run. But, you know, it's how much you move vertically over how much you move horizontally. And it depends on if it's positive or negative. So if I look at negative 3 over 2, I can think of that as a rise of negative 3 and a run of 2. So rise, well, my rise is going to go down 3, and then my run is going to go to the right 2. Okay? This is going to the right, and this is going down 3. Okay? And then I can keep doing that, down 3 and to the right 2. Now, you have to start your counting from the intercept that you have. Don't start someplace else because then you won't get them to line up. Okay, so my points line up. That's nice. It should. It has that same ratio. That's what the slope is. And it's negative. I can see that, so it's going downhill. But let's say you were like, well, I wanted to rise and not go down. You could say the slope is 3 over negative 2, right? Because that would have the same value as negative 3 halves. Then you would go up 3, but you would go to the left 2. Okay? So you can do that. Now start from my y-intercept, up 3, and then back 2, or left 2. See? And you get another point in line with the other points. And you can do it again. You can do it all day if you want. Okay. Well, as big as your graph paper is. Okay, all those points line up. Does that line have a negative slope? Yes. I highly recommend checking that. So if you're supposed to have a negative slope, your line better be going downhill. Okay. That's how you graph using the slope and the y-intercept. First, graph the y-intercept. Count rise over run. From, I was going to write from the y-intercept. And then you just draw the line. Okay.